All right, today we're going to break down the argument behind the ProstaVive supplement. We're going to get right into the nuts and bolts of the claims and the persuasive logic they use in their marketing to see exactly how they build their case. So right out of the gate, they hit you with this question. It's a really powerful hook, because it taps into a super common frustration people have with supplements and basically promises to tell you the secret reason why. So what gives? Well, the first big piece of the puzzle, according to them, is all about patience. They frame this whole thing not as some kind of magic pill, but as a long-term process that's completely tied to your body's current condition. I find this part really interesting. They manage your expectations immediately. By calling ProstaVive restorative instead of a drug, they're completely resetting the timeline. The logic is pretty simple. If a problem took years to develop, you can't expect to fix it overnight. Okay, and here's the core of their whole theory. The 10-to-1 PSA rule, which is a term they came up with, claims that the real villain behind prostate issues is just restricted blood flow. And just like that, they've skillfully reframed the entire problem as a circulatory one. So, what's the solution? Well, it's these specific ingredients. The argument is that they all work together to boost your nitric oxide. And why should you care about nitric oxide? Because it's what helps your blood vessels relax and open up, which of course ties everything right back to their core theory of fixing that poor blood flow. Okay, so we've got the theory and we've got the ingredients, but the next part of their argument is all about the delivery system. They make a really strong case that the form of the supplement, how you take it, is just as important as what's actually inside it. And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? Pills are painted as old technology, where most of the good stuff gets destroyed by your stomach acid. The powder, on the other hand, is presented as this modern, efficient solution that gets absorbed right into your bloodstream fast and at nearly full strength. You gotta admit, that is a killer analogy. It takes a pretty complex scientific idea, bioavailability, and just makes it instantly click. A leaky hose is wasteful, right? But a direct irrigation system, well, that's targeted, it's efficient. It makes the choice seem like a no-brainer. So they've laid out the problem and their unique solution. Now the conversation pivots to what it's going to take from you. This whole next section is about defining the commitment in both time and money that they say is absolutely necessary for this to work. Hey, remember that warning about not expecting results in 5 days? Well, here's the payoff. They're very upfront that you need to commit to a minimum of 60 days of consistent use. This isn't a quick trial, it's a long-term commitment. And this is where the sales logic really snaps into focus. The 6-bottle package is framed as the only logical choice. Why? Because it lines up perfectly with that 60-day minimum use period they just mentioned, and it covers the entire length of their guarantee. And, of course, here's the financial incentive. If you commit to the full program, you get the absolute lowest price per bottle. So they're making the biggest package not just the most logical for their timeline, but also the most tempting for your wallet. Now, look, asking someone to buy 6 bottles of anything is a pretty big ask. So how do you get them to overcome that hesitation? Simple. You try to take away all the financial risk. And that brings us to what is probably the most persuasive part of their entire argument. 180 days. That is a full 6 months. Offering a guarantee that long is a huge confidence booster. It lets you test the product on their own patients-required terms, which makes the purchase feel completely safe. And listen to the language here. It's all designed for maximum reassurance. The conditions are simple, and that claim that the risk is 100% on the company, that's a classic sales technique called risk reversal. The goal is to make you feel like you have absolutely nothing to lose. Okay, we're at the final piece of the argument now. They've built their case for the product, they've removed the risk, so what's left? Creating a sense of urgency and scarcity by making it all about getting the authentic stuff. Now, this is a really critical move. By warning you about fakes on huge marketplaces that you probably trust, they create this us versus them narrative. The message is that danger and phony products are everywhere else, and they're the only safe place to go. And there it is, the solution to the danger they just created. The entire argument funnels every single potential customer to one website. This not only lets them control the sale, but it reinforces the idea that the only way to get the real formula and that 180-day guarantee is by going directly to the official source. So when you deconstruct this whole thing, it really all boils down to this question. The promotional material for ProstaVive makes this really compelling case that its success is tied to a theory about blood flow, a superior powder delivery system, and, maybe most importantly, a serious commitment of your time. It's asking you to trade patients for potential results, which leaves us all with one final thought. Is that a price worth paying?